now we come to our next feature today, who is Eddie Bell, and as you can tell by his attire, he hits all the hot spots. Eddie Bell is a contemporary poet and writer with a strong desire to portray society from the black perspective. His poems are reflective of the lives and culture of African American people and his own personal struggle for love, peace, and solitude, and a full tank of gas in his car. His devotion to his religion is always evident throughout his work. Eddie believes that poetry is the mirror of the soul, and that poems should be deeply personal and true to the meaning of your spirit. An accomplished photographer, Eddie is currently working on a project to combine his words with his visual images. We'll get into that in a little while. Each day that passes, Eddie falls more in love with his craft, and each day is blessed with new visions worthy of the pen, not to mention the camera. So, Eddie, welcome the poet, the poet.
Thank you, Robert. Glad to be here.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad somebody is. Anyway, why don't we get right into a poem?
All right. The first poem I'll read will be called Side Streets. I wrote this poem after taking a trip through East Harlem a few years ago, and kind of affected me. So I wrote this poem, Side Streets. Life is good for some on the main drag, but side streets tell a different story. Young brothers and sisters see folks doing mostly real bad. The rude game of having not lays bare the unprotected and makes their beauty harder to find. Bullets fly, people die. Playgrounds lodged between scarred curbs are littered with fractured glass, discarded autos, and broken lives. It's all there. The love, softly silhouetted by steamy clouds of arduous despair. The strength of those knowing it's not in vain. Through the bumpy rhythms of the days, they are comforted by the sights of grandmothers loving their grandchildren, saints singing in the gospel choir, the white Episcopalian bishop adopting a poor black child, Jesus mending a broken life. Power is what suburbia flaunts, and children on the side streets only dream about. Those with dreams can walk in the hidden beauty beyond the dirty pavement. Trees and grass and blue skies are theirs too, only they must wait to touch the real thing.
I can really emphasize with that, Eddie, I parked on a side street today because I hate feeding meters. Well, maybe
I wasn't so lucky. I had to put some quarters in.
Oh, well.
In fact, I better hurry up, see.
I'm sure the city,
tow my car away.
I'm sure the city appreciates your sacrifice in offering up that spare change. They can do it, but they don't let people wandering around anymore. Anyway, perhaps you could save this conversation with yet another poem.
Yes. This one is called Questions. A Lexus is nice, but who needs a new car anyway? And why is a man from the city terrified by country darkness? Why can't a man get enough loving? Why is it so good? Do people know that black is only beautiful, not only beautiful, but also truth? Why don't people realize the hurt they cause when they disrupt the land with their buildings? And wasn't there an alternative to killing all those Indians whose only crime was their harmony with the earth? When did we lose focus and render self more important than the welfare of the tribe? What terrible plan made children someone else's problem? When did men become women, and when did women become men, and men become children? And why can't I sell my house anyway?
Well, maybe if you patch up that hole in the roof, you might get a taker for it. Speaking of structures, I understand, I want to get this in, I understand that you're doing billboards these days, and we just happen to have one here. This is a combination of Eddie's poetry and his photography, and I think it's worth, let's get real close in here on that if we haven't already. And Eddie, about your billboards, what major highways are you appearing on?
Well, I don't know quite how to answer that, but I try to appear everywhere I can.
Okay. They're not really billboards.
No, these are posters that I have done photography for an awful long time, and I finally came a kind of scheme I think that's portrays both very, very well, and I'm happy with that, and I'll continue with that as a series.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's talk about the photography for a moment. When you're wandering about, looking for something to shoot, do you have anything specific in mind, or do you take what comes? Do you go out for a specific goal with the camera?
Well, most of the time. I work as a commercial photographer, so sometimes you have to. But when I'm shooting for pleasure or for work that I intend to show, I'm a grab shooter, so I catch things where I see them. And that particular, just like the photograph on that poster, was a beautiful evening. I happened to have my camera with film in it, and I got the picture.
A commercial photographer, eh?
Yes.
Do you photograph commercials?
Well, local commercials mostly.
All right. I've got plenty of questions, and we already did that poem, so perhaps we should move on to something else.
Okay, the third poem I'll read will be You Remember Those Things. This is poems about two lovers that probably shouldn't have been lovers, but they were lovers, and anyway, you remember those things. You remember those things that shouldn't be and yet were. The sins of man are natural, although wrong and distasteful to the mind of God. Our minds trace back to unforgotten memories that come from pleasure and yet have wrought some pain. You are forgiven, and it is forgiven, and each day we are blameless. We will sin again and remember, but in time with understanding and wisdom and in the presence of love.
Well, I don't want to disrupt that mood. Keep going, keep going.
Requirements and Broken Hearts. This was written after an episode of Fame where there was a black young lady, about 15 years old, who was not allowed to be in the performance show that they were going to do. They were going to do a video from Fame, and they wouldn't let her be in it because she was black and they didn't feel she had the right shape. So this was my reaction to that. It's called Requirements and Broken Hearts. As the little black darling hurried past me, she had tears on her cheek, so I inquired, "Why are you crying, Miss Lady? And you just finished dancing like a butterfly tiptoeing on daisy petals." Between her sobs, she muttered, "Only white girls can be ballerinas, because our butts are too big to be graceful." Then she winked and floated away to the next flower.
I don't get enough butterflies in my life. Got plenty of moths, though, and I have a very discreet hole somewhere back here in the sweater that would bear that out. I didn't know they ate acrylic, but that's how it goes. When did you start writing, Eddie?
Started writing probably in high school. I started photographing when I was about 7, and I started writing when I was in high school. But I didn't start reading until in any serious way, until I came to Cozy Corner Tavern with Carol Blair, and she kind of coaxed me to read the first night, and I've been reading for the last couple of years now and enjoying it very much.
Yes, he means reading out loud, folks, in case there was any confusion there. And Carol is in the audience, jumping up and down, going, "I'm here, I'm here."
I'm here.
Let's have a big hand for Carol while we're at it. Her reading in Ridgewood is one of our longest running. Was it 3 weeks now?
And 7 days.
And 7 days. That's good to know. Oh, I think we can slip in a poem there while nobody's looking.
Okay, this is called The Peace of Loneliness, and it's probably self-explanatory. I lay on the floor in solitude with tears in my eyes, tears of past sorrows and future uncertainties. I think with small thoughts and dream with big dreams. Eternally I hope, I care, I love, I love. Each place I find myself seems decidedly different, yet always the same in the end. The beauty I seek surrounds me, patient for my eyes to behold. I rise, and the tears fall from my face to the dust of the floor, and I walk on them, and my heart smiles with happiness. A vision of peace leads me on.
I see Ivy over there on the far side of the settee in rapt attention, trying to figure out how she would dance to these poems. They are very musical. Are they not?
That would be a real honor.
There we go.
I'll read mine.
A mutual admiration poem.
This next poem that I read is a little more serious. It's really about 2 young men who lost their mother at a very young age in life. Called The Day I Saw the Storm End Twice. We was young when Mama died. The earth stood still as she lay on the floor, her hands trying to ease the pain in her chest, her eyes saying, Lord, this ain't no time for this. The sun held its beam, leaving an internal darkness. The wind slowed its pace to an imperceptible breeze. This latter thing, the great delight of the flying bugs lurking in the dismal shadows. The 2 brown lives were changed forever. Grandpa and Grandma reaped their horror, and only later threshed out some of the tares. The future proved to be a hurting business. The innocent felt wrath meant for the guilty. The 2 brown lives carried their burden deeply, only each in a different pocket. The storm tore through their hearts, and the coming sunshine mended one and left the other in a tortured rapture of unforgetfulness. They dreamed the dreams of what-ifs and felt the stirrings of their memories. Then the ultimate proposal. A new mama? You mean we won't have to do housework anymore? Or eat bread pudding with snuff spit in it? The lights were shining again. It roamed the thoughts of the 2 brown lives and offered divided promise. A new mama? What should we call her? There ain't no such thing.
And please, don't worry about the sirens. They're after me.
Not my car. They're not towing my car.
No, they're going, look, that's a pretty fast tow job if they were doing that sort of thing. I think we can slip in one quickie there.
Well, let me read a couple of my ditties.
Ah,
They'll
ditties.
go real quick.
Nothing like a ditty.
First one is called Depression. Depression is a dog. It's like not wanting sex and then doing it anyway and not liking it even though it was good. Granola frame of mind. I'm in a granola frame of mind. Thoughts all scrambled up like whole grain flakes, dates, and plump raisins. Steps are light and tender so they don't crunch the pavement. Going this way and that way, trying to dodge a low-fat melt that makes me soggy.
Ooh, flaky there.
And last, Ode to Mrs. Clark, or subtitled Missed Opportunity. I lost the card. I can't believe it. I lost the card. I'll tell her straight. I'll tell her clear. I had the card. It's lost from here. Now only I have the thoughts to share. My sorrow's great. She doesn't care. Too bad for me. I lost the card. I can't believe it. I lost the card.
I even found the card, but I can't use it. It's not in my name. Well, I want to thank you, Eddie Bell, for sharing some of your material with us. Well, we've come to the end of another one of Poet to Poet, and I want to thank Evie Ivy and Eddie Bell for coming on here and rocking the joint. Let's have a big hand for us all.